training with the martial arts. How old were you?
Well, I started, martial arts when I was a kid was judo. So I started with 4 years old or something. Then I had to stop a few times and always come back. So I did roughly around 12 to 14 years of judo until I became a monitor. Then I had to stop again, and then I finally decided to give a chance with the Portuguese martial art, Jogo, and I'm there almost 10 years.
Thank you very much. Can you tell, please, what's the name of your school?
Well, the school where I teach is Esgrima Lusitana Cascais. Cascais is a small village in Portugal, near Lisbon. But it's part of a larger school called Escola do Santo Constable, Saint Constable School, which is the technique, the same name. Basically, Escola do Santo Constable is the name of the technique of Jogo. Jogo is the martial arts name, and then there are several schools, one of which is the one I've learned and the one I teach, which is Escola do Santo Constable.
How many old has this school?
Well, I'm in Cascais approximately 4 years, so my school where I teach is 4 years. But the technique was started 20 or 30 years ago. So the master who created it, Master Numerus, is still teaching today. I learned directly with him, and I still do.
Thank you very much. What kind of weapons do you work?
Okay. The traditional weapon of the Jogo is a staff, a wood stick, approximately 1.5 meters. Recently, there was a new weapon added, which is a baton, a cane approximately 80 centimeters, that has a technique with 1 or 2 batons. The baton's technique is the same as the traditional one, only applied to a smaller weapon or two, but the principles and the techniques are the same.
How do you think, what is the basis of martial arts?
Well, for us it's very simple. The basis of martial arts is combat. It's fight. Okay? In European martial arts, the mystic or religious concepts are usually not connected to martial arts, to fighting. This is the same with us. So basically a martial art is a technique to fight along with some guidelines to behavior and commitment to something.
Can you tell, please, what is the difference between your school from other schools, for example, Italian schools, Spain schools?
I don't think there are any Jogo schools in Spain or Italy, but I can tell you that in Portugal there are several schools of this martial art. They all focus in different aspects. Our school is devoted to being effective in combat, in fighting. It was cleaned of everything that was an exercise or was choreography. It's basic combat oriented. There are schools that are more focused in the exhibitions or more physical aspects, endurance. I know the north of Portugal schools are dedicated to combat against several opponents. We mix a little of everything, but I think that's can give you a good idea of it.
Can you tell, please, is psychology important in stick training?
Yes, it's important in any training. Okay? In martial arts, in particular our own, we get all the psychological treatment we need, like in other disciplines, like track, racing, anything. We have the motivation, the dedication, and all that work that is required for normal physical training. Then we get more specific about our training. We are using weapons, a stick, and we have to practice so we can hit someone else and defend ourselves. So there's a conditioning that is required so that when you are training with a weapon and you want to inflict an injury on someone, there are consequences to that as well. So it's not easy for someone that has spent 20 years listening from their mothers and then grandmothers, you can't hit the other kids, to give them a stick to the hand and say, okay, now you have to hit that one in the head. So it's something you can work with as well. Of course, there is also the martial art aspect of the thing, which is the conditioning, the dedication that one has, the knowing your own body, how you move, the respect for others. Of course, you also have that.
And could you please tell us, how do you think, why so many people today desire to learn martial arts?
Well, people like the idea of learning martial arts. Well, today the movies, the news, they're all always, the movies are all action movies, everyone knows how to fight. The news always tell us there are war breaking out, assaults, robberies. So people want to feel safe. They want to think people think they can learn something that will give them a little safety. Of course, martial arts is not just that. Going to martial arts requires some dedication. People like the idea of learning, but they don't like the blood, sweat and tears that comes with training and dedicating to learning a martial art.
Could you share with us about steps of teaching of your system? For example, one person comes to you and asks, please teach me. How you start to work with him?
Okay, let's assume it's someone that wants to start to learn our martial art. Well, the first steps are teaching the basic attacks and defenses at a safe distance, so people start getting comfortable with the weapon, which is not something that most... It sounds simple, but once you get to the stick in your hand, it takes a little training into making the movement comfortable. So first step is getting comfortable with the new weapon and knowing the attacks and defenses. Of course, during this period, all the attacks and defenses are set. Each opponent knows what the other one will do. As soon as the movements are starting to get correct, and the defenses and the attacks are correct, we start we start taking the arrangement out of the technique. We start making one or two attacks when it's not arranged. At first, when we say to a student, the other one will attack from a certain angle with attack A or B, and he knows what the defense he has to do. That is arranged or combined. In time, we start taking that out of the game. We start making one or two attacks that the opponent doesn't know he's going to receive, so he has to choose a different defense to each attack he's receiving.
Can you please tell how looks tactics and strategy in your system, about self-defense in your system?
Our martial art was basically a self-defense martial art, but today, most people don't carry a walking stick with a meter and a half wide. So the more usable in self-defense is the baton, which is smaller. But the technique and the strategy is the same. Okay? When you are facing a situation of self-defense, you are usually facing more than one opponent. So the strategy is to take the fight to them and keep them apart from each other and control the attack, control the fight. Of course, the main objective is to get an opening and escape. Okay? If it is very hard to fight against several opponents and come out of there unharmed. So you can't let, like in the movies, let the first one attack and see what comes from there. You have to, if you are one against many, you have to take the attack to them because you're already in a disadvantage.
Can you tell, please, so I am correctly understand you work only with a stick?
Yes, sticks, wood sticks usually. A big one and a small one. Well, weapons can be very different regarding wooden sticks.
Yes.
But basically ours is one of the edges is bigger than the other one of the points. The one we used to beat is the heavier. So we can use our movement in a rotation to gain speed and strength on the impact. It has to be light enough to handle easily without effort and strong enough to hit and don't break. Of course, a stick is always a weapon of opportunity. So we also train with the different types of sticks. We use fiber batons and extendable batons from police, for example, which are metal or fiber as well. So the technique can be applied with several sorts of sticks, but it's the same technique.
What is the perfect logical model of stick fighting for you?
Well, the perfect model is one that keeps us safe and not hit by the other one. So the stick fighter for us has to be someone that can defend himself without getting hit. Of course, behind every defense is a fast counter-offensive, counter-attack. So eventually, if you don't get hit, you will, or if you defend every hit that is thrown against you, you will hit your opponent. So it's a combination between agility, so you can move around, and you can defend yourself and touch your opponent. Just like in any other weapon, the perfect technique is one that takes advantage of the weapon you are using and your own body, because your body is always part of the weapon. So if you can take full advantage of your weapon and your movement, combining both, you have the perfect martial arts system.
Can you tell, please, do you have some history of your school? Maybe it was used in the Middle Ages.
Well, the origin of our martial art, we believe, is the training of heavy swords in medieval time. Long swords like montante or bastard sword, swords you could use with one hand or two. Basically, the nobles would wear these swords, and the people which couldn't afford it would use sticks or whatever agricultural instrument they could use. But they copied the technique from the nobles. In time, the noblemen moved on to other types of weapons, smaller swords made for closer to today's modern Esgrima, fancy. But the people still had no money, so they kept using the sticks and the agricultural instruments. So they kept in popular tradition, our technique, and was used until 30, 40 years ago. It was still very common in the interior of the country that every party or fair, festa, will end up with some stick fighting between villagers for some reason, for land, women, whatever. Well, I was talking about the origin of Jogo. This was, that progress took place in Portugal over a few centuries. 50 years ago or 40 years ago, there were still several schools in Portugal with different techniques of the same martial art. There was a master called Pedro Ferreira, I think, yes, which called some of his students to gather all these techniques from different schools and compile a single technique. It was called Escola Pedro Ferreira. And my master, Nuno, was part of those students of him that gathered all the techniques. After that work, Master Nuno asked his master if he could take out some of the less effective aspects of the technique, because a big part of it was more turned into show off, to showing for demonstration, etc. His master agreed, he was right, but he was too old to change his technique. So he told him, okay, you do your own technique and take out anything that is not effective. And that is what he did, and he called it Escola de Santo Constable, Saint Constable School.
Okay. What is a stick for you?
Well, stick is a weapon of opportunity. It's anything you can pick up if you need to defend yourself. Umbrella, a cane, anything you can use to keep a distance from your opponent and take care of any attack you suffer. Of course, with the technique, when I use it, or my students or my teachers, it becomes part of our arm. We can't think of our hand, we have to think of the point of the stick. So it becomes an extension of our body.
How do you think, how many time does a person need to become a master?
Well, it depends what you call a master. If it's someone with a graduation, with a black belt, it takes about 8 years or something, 5 to 10. If a master is someone that can teach you, well, it's not very important the graduation he has. Basically, I think a master, someone that can be called a master, is someone that can learn from, that has learned the most of the technique, but can still learn from those who know more and from those who don't know more. I teach people of all ages, and I still learn from my students who started a week ago. So basically, for me, it's not so much how long it takes to become a master, but how long it takes for you to be a student of a martial art, and what do you need to know that allows you to learn from seeing someone that knows more, but also from someone that knows less. I think if you consider that a martial art is not something you learn from a book, and that has a beginning and an end, learning a martial art has an end. You have always to learn more. So if it takes you about 1 year, to learn the basic of a martial art, and so you can recognize that someone is next to you knows more and you can learn from him. But you can also see that on the other side there's someone that started a week ago and knows nothing, and you can also teach him that you are a martial artist.
Can you tell, please, something important about your school that people should know?
Well, I said almost everything. Well, it's important that people know that not so much of my school, but this martial art, Jogo, Pau Português, which is not very known. Not a lot of people know it. Even in Portugal, a lot of the population doesn't know about it. So it's important to get out there that it's an effective martial art. Every time it was put to test, it was very successful. And well, there is also this one. If you like to try it or see it, feel free to call us. We'll be happy to show it to everyone.
Yes.
I can say one thing. We have one athlete on Baton that goes into competitions outside Portugal. It's called Carlos dos Santos. He only uses the baton, not the long stick, but he fights in martial arts in combat tournaments from other martial arts, usual Filipino martial arts. And he's 2 times European champion and 1 time world champion. He won the world title a few months ago in the United States. So even with very little people teaching it and practicing it, it's still very effective.
Can I ask you, how do you think there is some difference between the name Eskrima and Kali?
Well, Esgrima is Portuguese word for fencing. And probably the Filipino word for fencing as well. What we do is a fencing style with sticks instead of swords. So, Esgrima Lusitana, which is the name you're referring to, basically means fencing from Portugal. Lusitana is the people that used to live in the same region as Portugal is, and is considered to be the ancestors of Portugal. So we call it the Lusitan people or Lusitan fencing. It's the same thing. The traditional name for the martial arts is Jogo. That means game of sticks. Being not exactly a play game, but it's more. The meaning has more to do with fencing. That I don't know the origin of the Philippine martial art. I believe it has something to do with knives. If you look at both techniques, you'd see that we have a longer distance. Yes. Because we need some movement to hit with the strength. So, and we can't hit with the short movement because with a stick it's not very effective. You need to gain some distance in order to hit with strength enough to break something, as well as to defend. Most of our martial art is defense. We can't get hit. There is no I hit first so I win. You both get hit with a stick, you both fall down. So there's no point in, okay, mine was stronger or I hit first, but if you still have a broken knee and you have to go crawling home. That's the basic difference.
And the last questions, what you can tell us to the watchers in the end of the program?
If you like martial arts, if you do some martial art, or if you want to start, there are a world of different martial arts. Go try several. Don't believe what you see in the movies because it's not true. A real fight doesn't happen like in the movies. Go to martial artists, ask them about what they do, why they do it, question, and see if you believe in what you think is logical. And then choose one and dedicate yourself to it, because it's a life commitment. And you can't learn it in these 6 months. I'm going to learn this one, next year I'm going to learn the next one. There's always something to learn. Always keep your eyes open and see if what you're seeing and what you're training is close to reality. That's the main thing about martial art. If it's just show off, it's not martial art. Thinking this is something that will happen in a real situation. If the attack, someone that attacks me is not going to tell me if he's going to hit from above or from the bottom. If that's what you train, then it's good. If you want to train with us and see what we do, come to us and we'll show you.